Wow, look at you! You're so cute! Stand up so we can get a better look at you. Yep, you're adorable. You've got a pokey little trunk, you're covered in fluffy fur, and you look like a cuddly miniature version of your mum. Well, it looks like congratulations are in order, because after spending the last 20 months or so in your mummy's tummy, you've just been born. Take a few moments now to just lie there in the cold hard ground and soak it all in, because that's all about to change. Rapidly. From here on in, things are only going to get worse. Because, unfortunately, being born as a mammoth really sucks. You try to stand up to get your first meal. It's not easy because you're not very steady on your legs, and you've got this ridiculous appendage hanging off of your face that doesn't seem much good for anything other than getting in the way of your feet and tripping you over. Other mammoths are gathering around to welcome you to the herd, but all you want is some food. Warm mammoth milk from mum? It's tasty, it's nutritious, and it's what you're mainly going to be living on for the next couple of years. But along with your milk, you also need to eat something else. Mammoth poop. Yep, you heard right. You need to eat mammoth poop to help cultivate the gut bacteria that will allow you to digest plant matter later in life. Yeah, it's gross, but that's the way it's going to go. Sorry about that. So you see that steaming pile of dung that just fell out of your mum's back end? Go on and get stuck in. Mum is huge. Dad would be huger, but he's not here. He won't be there to help guide you through your tender year, and he definitely won't be making any child support payments. But that's okay because single-parent families are the norm in mammoth society, and baby mammoths don't need male role models anyway. Plus, the other adult females will be helping your mum, so you'll be well looked after. At the moment, you weigh about 200 pounds. You're tiny next to mum. And if you get separated from her, you'll be on the menu for all kinds of predators like wolves, cave hyenas, and other saber-toothed cats. Yeah, it's a pretty rough neighborhood. But mum's massive, and she's armed with a great big pair of tusks which make you feel safer. Most smart predators will keep away if she's with you, so you'd better make sure you stay close. Not all predators are that smart though. Right, have a look at your surroundings. You live on a vast open steppe covered in short grass and other small plants. Steppe? No, not that kind of steppe. Steppe, as in grassland plains. Mum and other mammoths spend up to 20 hours each day munching grass and sedges. At the moment, the sun is in the sky most of the day, and the herd spends most of the daylight hours eating. It doesn't look like a very interesting or varied diet, so that sucks, but at least it's food. There's no snow at the moment, and you can see a few flowers emerging, so it must be spring. That's good because it's the middle of an ice age, so winter's probably not going to be much fun. But you've got a year to prepare for that. You've got through your first 6 months of life, and there's not much to report. You spend your days following the herd, you're growing bigger, and your milk tusks are beginning to emerge. You still rely on mum's milk for food, and you're not ready to start eating grass yet. It's late summer, and a male has just turned up. He's much bigger than any of the other members of your herd, and his long, curled tusks are spectacular. He seems to be grumpier than a saber-toothed cat with a toothache, so you keep out of his way. But he's not interested in you. He's much more interested in the females in your herd who don't have young babies to take care of. You don't know what he's doing to them, and they don't seem to be enjoying it much. But it doesn't look like they have much choice, so they let him get on with it. What are they doing? Don't know, it happens every year. After a few weeks of hanging around, spreading his bad mood, and climbing on the backs of the females, he eventually leaves. Wonder what that was all about. Adult mammoth stuff, probably. Don't worry, you'll find out when the time comes. It's much colder now, and winter's really set in. There's not much grass for the adults to eat, but you're okay because Mum always has milk for you. She spent spring and summer eating as much as she could to get as fat as possible. But now, as the winter months wear on, she's starting to lose weight. At least she'll have a bikini body by next spring. You've now got a thick coat of short underfur and long shaggy outer hair, which will help keep you warm during the winter. You've mastered walking by now, and the long tube hanging off of your face has turned out to be a trunk. It's actually a useful thing to have now you've got the hang of using it, and it has a special flattened section about a third of the way up that allows you to curl your trunk up and keep the end warm because the tip doesn't have any fur. You don't want to get a frostbitten trunk tip because that would really suck. In the end, winter isn't as bad as you thought because it turns out your genes mean you don't feel the cold much, and your small ears and short tail are resistant to frostbite. That's lucky because it's absolutely freezing. Winter was long, dark, and cold, but for you, it was okay. You weren't too bothered by the cold, and your mum had enough fat stored up to keep the milk flowing. A couple of mammoths didn't make it. One adult female fell through some ice. That made everyone sad for a while. Another one didn't make it because she was too old and didn't have enough fat stored. In the end, she didn't have the energy to keep moving, and a saber-toothed cat got her. Very distressing. Your second year will be pretty much the same as your first. The weather warms and you shed your winter coat. You've had 2 molars in your mouth for a while now, and 2 more are coming through behind them. But you won't really be using them much yet because you still feed mostly on mom's milk. Although you might start putting a bit of grass in your mouth just out of curiosity. You have 2 finger-like tips on the end of your trunk that make picking things up easy. Some of the females have given birth to baby mammoths, so numbers in the herd remain stable. Winter, long coat, cold months, more milk, cracks in the ice, predators, more deaths. Springtime, short coat, more grass, less milk, follow the herd, another male mounting the females. You've lost your milk tusks, and your permanent tusks are now growing. They'll continue to grow throughout the rest of your life. You're eating more grass and drinking less milk, so eat as much as you can while there's plenty available. Growing big, getting fat, cold months, no grass to eat, but you can still drink mom's milk, so it's okay for you. More death, more predators. One of your friends got eaten by a pack of wolves this winter. Her mom wasn't able to save her. Very sad. You'll miss her. Springtime. Time to stop drinking mom's milk altogether now, so this is a big moment. From now on, it's up to you to make sure you eat enough food during the spring and summer to build up your fat reserves, or you won't survive the next winter. Then something new happens. Some new animals appear. They're much smaller than mammoths, and they walk on 2 legs. They make a lot of noise, and they scare the herd. A disaster. 3 adult mammoths were killed, including the matriarch, so now nobody knows what to do. The herd is in shock for several days, but eventually one of the other older females takes charge. The old matriarch will be remembered because a mammoth never forgets. But there's no time to grieve for long in this harsh world. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. Long hair, short hair. Food, no food. Deaths, births. Something new happens again. A couple of years ago, when a big male showed up and joined the herd, your mom was one of the females he climbed all over. And now it's spring 2 years later, and mom just gave birth to a new baby. After that, mom spends all her time looking after the little one and is suddenly much less interested in you. You now spend more time away from her and with the rest of the herd. You're only 5, so you're not an adult yet, but you're already big enough to look after yourself. And anyway, if there's ever any danger, everyone in the herd looks out for everyone else. Soon after you were born, you had 1 set of molars, and another set emerged before you were a year old. By 18 months, the first set had been worn down, and a 3rd set was coming through. The 3rd set will last until you're about 10 years old, and then you'll get a 4th set and a 5th set. What happens when the 5th set gets worn down is really going to suck, but we're not there yet, so let's save that nice little surprise for later. More seasons, more long hair and short hair, more births, and more deaths. You're now 10, and something big is about to happen. You're feeling different this year, and when a large bull mammoth arrives in your herd towards the end of summer, you feel excited. And instead of ignoring you like every other year, he seems very interested in you. He's also interested in your urine because every time you do pee-pee, he goes over and takes a big sniff. He seems to like the smell. Problem is, at only 10 years old, you're far from fully grown, and when he comes close, you feel absolutely terrified. When the time comes, he climbs on your back the same way as the males did with the other females in previous years. You feel like your legs are going to buckle beneath you. But fortunately, it doesn't take him long to do what he needs to do, and then he gets back off again. Was it good for you? He sticks around for a few weeks, he climbs on you several more times, he chases away some other males who think about coming too close, and then he's gone again. And you're pregnant. More cold months, more warm months, and then more cold months. And then 20 months later, out pops your very own adorable furry baby mammoth, and you're a first-time mom. From now on, life gets even more complicated because you don't just have to worry about feeding yourself. You have to make sure you eat enough to produce milk for your baby, and you need to work on building up your fat reserves to get you both through the winter. You also need to think about fighting off saber-toothed cats, packs of wolves, and cave hyenas to protect your mini mammoth. Now, along with the yearly routine of cold and warm, you also have a new 5-year cycle. 3 years bringing up your calf and then 20 months pregnant. And this will continue on repeat until you're around 40 years old, if you survive that long. When you're no longer fertile, you'll still stay with the herd, and if you live long enough, you'll become the matriarch. You'll be in charge of finding food and water for the whole herd, and keeping them safe from predators, natural dangers, and those weird human creatures. And if you make it past 40 without succumbing to cold, starvation, disease, predators, humans, or just some kind of random accident, you still won't go on for much longer. Because your final set of molars will erupt when you hit 30, and from then on, the clock's ticking. When all your molars wear down, you'll no longer be able to eat. When that happens, you'll probably be able to make it through one more spring and summer. But when winter arrives, you won't have enough of a fat reserve to make it through the start of the following year. You will slowly starve until you are too weak to continue, and you will finally lie down on the freezing floor to die, if the predators don't find you first. It's been a long, hard, cold life, and your reward for surviving is a slow, painful death. Yeah, it really sucked to be born a woolly mammoth, but those are the cards life dealt you.